Welcome to episode 4 of Learning Fusion. In today's episode, we're going to be covering the viewer area within Fusion. So let's roll this intro and let's get into it.
We're learning Fusion together. We'll learn 2D stuff and 3D stuff and particle stuff and compositing stuff, deep pixel stuff and tracking stuff, but not other stuff, but some other cool stuff, because we're learning Fusion together.
So before I start going over the actual display, I do want to jump up here to this workspace because we can change how our workspace layout is actually laid out here. So if we go up to workspace right here and we go to layout presets and we go to Fusion presets, you can see we have a few different presets, and our default is this setting right here with our little node tree down on the bottom and our viewer up top. But we can change our presets. So if we go here, we can say left flow. So that way all of our Fusion nodes are going to be vertical right here. And we've got our two little windows over here. Additionally, if we don't want these side by side, we can go to presets, Fusion. We can say left flow vertical. So now we've got our two displays vertically and our node tree vertically. Alternatively, we can do the same thing and have it on our right, or they call it mid, but everything, all your node tree over here on the right, which is the setting I personally like all the time. But in shooting these videos, I just leave it on our default. So that's how you switch those around to have your different node trees on different sides. So our viewer itself, up top on our top row here, and I'm going to go ahead and make this just a single, so we've got a little more real estate. But right here, we've got different fit measures. So I can say I want to see it at 25%, at 200%, or I can say I want to fit. And I'll cover this A and B buffer and our split here in a second. But right here, we have our subview. So if I turn on our subview, it's going to give us a subview of what we have selected. And if we select this little drop down right here, we can select our navigator, which is going to give us a navigator. So if we're zooming in and out, it's going to let us know where we're zoomed in and out at. We can select magnifier. So wherever our little mouse pointer is, it's going to magnify that. Additionally, on all these, we can click and drag and increase our window size to whatever we want. We've also got the 2D viewer, which is just going to give us another viewer of that view. We've got our 3D histogram, which is going to give us a 3D histogram of whatever footage is up here. So if I swap this footage out, you can see our little 3D histogram changed. We have the color inspector. So wherever I have my mouse pointer, it's going to give us the color info and the alpha info for that pixel. We have the histogram, the image info, and up top is just giving us the image info with the frame size, pixel aspect, and our depth. We have metadata, so we can view all of the metadata of our footage. We have vector scope, and we have waveform, and we just shut that back off by clicking that. Up top here in the middle, you can see we've got our media name. So right now we've got media in 1. If I loaded our merge, you can see merge 1 is now loaded in that viewer. This button right here is going to allow us to enable or disable our region of interest or our ROI. So if I click it, you can see it's giving us an ROI. And what this ROI is doing is it's just limiting what pixels are rendered within Fusion. So if I minimize it, anything within this box is going to get rendered, and it's going to ignore anything outside this box. But just know this doesn't affect what your final output is. So if I go back to our edit page, you can see our final output hasn't changed. And this does get a little glitchy. So technically we should only be seeing what's inside this box. So if I push play, sometimes you'll see it pop in and out with just what's in the box. Sometimes you won't. There you go. It goes back and forth. But anything within this box is the only thing getting rendered, which does help if we're doing very intensive stuff. That way we can limit what's going on. But if we click our little drop down, We can select our auto button, so it's automatically going to select whatever is in our display. So if I zoom in, it's only going to render what I have zoomed in there. If I zoom out, you can see our ROI is way over. Whoop. Let me fix that. Our ROI is way over here, down here, just basically the whole area of the display. I can also select set. Once I select set, if I click and drag, it'll set my ROI. And I can select reset. Also, if I have an ROI so I don't accidentally mess it up, I can go here and select the lock button. Now I can't change that ROI. This area right here is just going to list what layer is being viewed. So if we have multi-layer image, right now this is just a standard image, so you're going to have default and main. And it doesn't matter which one I select. But if we have a, let me see if I can find a PSD. And if I drag our little thumbnail we use here in, and if I go to our layers, you can see it's got all the different layers within that PSD file. So I can select whichever layer I want. So if I just want that gradient fill to show, it'll show the gradient fill, and it's off because this is showing 32-bit float. And this image was not 32-bit float, so our colors are a little off. But regardless, this up here will let you select which layers you want to view. Right here, this allows us to see what color we're looking at. And right now we're looking at our RGB channels. But if I click this once, it's going to show our alpha channels. And if we had an alpha in it, so if I drag this in, create a little alpha, you can see we can see our alpha. If I click it again, it's going to go back to RGB. Additionally, I can change what channel I want to see. So if I only want to view our red channel, I can view our red channel, or green, or blue, or back to our color. This button right here will allow us to display LUTs within the viewer. Now, just know, even though this is on, it's not going to be pushed through your media out. And by default, it's set to the Fusion View LUT, which is just going to display your original normal, like Rec 709 or whatever is going on in here. But if I need to change it, say I'm working with ASUS, instead of adding all my gamut stuff to change the color space, I could simply just come here and change it to ASUS. And yeah, it's going to look crazy because this is not an ASUS image, but I can work within Fusion using this ASUS LUT. But if I go back to our edit page, you notice it didn't do any color changes. It's just staying the same, because all this is doing is allow us to view in the viewer with whatever LUT we select. And we can turn it on and off here. And again, we can select which one we want to use. Additionally, whatever one we select, if we hit this edit, we can edit any parameters for that specific LUT. This button right here just allows us to have 2 up or 1 up. And right now we're on 1 up. So there's 2 buttons. If I want 2, we've got 2. And there's multiple ways to change what is in which viewer here. So let's go ahead and fit and get these even. Now down here within our media, and let's delete this stuff. First off, if I want to clear anything in here, if I select or just click anywhere and say this viewer, and I hit my little squiggly line that's to the left of the number 1 button, I can't remember what it's called. If I hit that, it's going to clear it out. So if I click in this one, hit that key, it's going to clear it out as well. So it's all clear. Now to be able to load images into these 2 separate ones, the easiest way is just to click and drag. So if I want my media 1 here, I just hold it, drag it into this one. Now it's in that display. If I want media 2 over here, I can just click and hold, drag it into that one. Now I've got media 2 over here. Additionally, I can go here and I can hit number 1 to load and unload it into 1, or number 2 to load and unload it into 2. And if I wanted my media out into 2, I can just hit 2, my media 1 into 2, and it's the same, but you get the point. Additionally, I can click down here, these 2 little white buttons. This one on the left means it's loaded into viewer 1. This one means it's loaded into viewer 2. So if I click this little button, I can have it loaded in 1 and 2, or just 2, and then load this one in 1. And if I only have 1 displayed, whatever is loaded in viewer 2 is what's going to show. So if I change this to viewer 2, now you see we've got that loaded. So when we have a single one up, viewer 2 is going to be the one always viewable. And if we have 2 up, this is going to be viewer 1 and this is going to be viewer 2. So viewer 1, viewer 2, single up, viewer 2. Now to be able to move around and pan around within our viewer, we have a couple panning options. So if we middle click, we can pan around. So no matter how we're zoomed in, we can middle mouse click our little mouse wheel and we can drag it around. We can hold Shift Control and just use our regular mouse pointer and click and hold and drag it around. And if we just use our regular mouse wheel, we can scroll up or down. To zoom or scale our little viewers here, we can hold Control and middle mouse in and out. Additionally, we can push the minus and equal keys. Equal will zoom in, minus will zoom out. If we hold the left and middle mouse buttons, we can hold them and just move our mouse side to side to zoom in and out. And if we hit Control 1, it'll zoom in at 100%, Control 2, 200%. And if we hit Control F on our keyboard, it'll zoom back out to fit, or we can use our little fit button here. So as far as this little A and B buffer, this means we can load 2 different images or 2 buffers within a single image. Meaning if, oops, I don't know why that disconnected. Meaning if I go ahead and add a color corrector here, and let's look at our color corrector. I'm going to make this blue. And if I go back to our original one, so right now that's loaded in A because I have A selected. If I select B buffer, I don't have anything loaded yet, but I can click and drag this color corrector. Now I've got that in my B buffer. So now if I switch back and forth from A to B, I can see the 2 images I have loaded in those 2 buffers on display 2. Additionally, I can use this buffer split wipe. So I can click and drag in the middle and split wipe back and forth to see my changes. Now just be careful with this button because if you click up here and drag, it's going to spin your little button around and then you can still change it, but it can get all wanky and off center if you're not careful. Additionally, if I have 2 windows up, I could load this one into this buffer. If I had a color correct on this one, and let's make this a nice little purple. And on this one, you notice we have 2 different areas right here. I can go to B buffer, load my color correct. So now in this one, I have my A and B. And in this one, I have my A and B. Additionally, I can still do my buffer wipe on this one. And I can do my buffer wipe on this one. So that's what the buffer A and B allows you to do. So you can kind of look at differences in your images and kind of see what's going on. Let's bring this back to our normal settings and let's delete our little color correctors here. So up here in our little menu system, we have the options to snap to pixel. So if we uncheck that, it's not going to snap to pixel. So whatever we bring in here is actually going to snap to pixels. If we have it checked, we can have this show controls. So if I uncheck this, and let's go ahead and get some controls in here. So if I say have a transform, and we're looking at our transform, you notice we see no controls. But if I go here and say show controls, now those controls on our transform button are showing. And it's going to be different depending on what node you have selected. But this being our transform node, you can see we have those controls, or I can shut them off, turn them on. For our region right here, this is just an extra menu for our ROI that we went over here. So you've got enable region, you can show it, lock it, set it, reset it, auto region, but we also have this show domain of definition. So if I select this show domain of definition and move it, it's not going to pop up right away. Now we can see we have this little domain of definition. So if I shut it back off, it's going to stay there until I move our footage or do something or hit play, then it'll go away again. And with your domain of definition, this isn't editable within here. This is just showing you what it's set to. And it's set to 3840 by 2160 with our 00 down here. And for show square pixels, if I check that, all that's going to do is override the auto aspect correction when using formats with non-square pixels. Right here, I can have my checker underlay on or off. So if we add our little square there, and if I uncheck this, it's just going to have a dark background, or I can have my checker underlay for anything that is transparent. Right here, this is just going to normalize our color range, which is sometimes helpful if we're not seeing some of those color changes we need to see. We can check that and uncheck it. And again, this is not going to affect your output. It's just for your viewer. And down here we have gain and gamma. So if I select gain gamma, I can change the gain and gamma. And again, if I go to my edit page, it's not affecting our output. This is just for our viewer right here. And this does come in handy for instances where we have, say, like a delta keyer, or we're doing any type of key in or anything, and we need to see all those little teeny tiny pixels going on. So if I bring this in, go here, and let's go ahead and key out her yellow. And I'm not seeing a lot of that stuff. And if I go to my alpha channel and I use my gain gamma, I can really hone in there and see what pixels are left over in my key. So this does come in handy when it comes to trying to get your keys on your footage good. And we can shut that on and off right there. And down here for this 360 view and stereo view, this is if we're working with 360 footage. So we can see different views on that. So if I hit lat long, this isn't 360. It's going to give a freaky effect because it's not 360 footage. But even though you say, hey, that might be cool, just so you know, that does not output. It's just for viewing. So we'll disable that. Same with stereo. We can change the different settings if we're using stereo footage, using multiple cameras for that stereo footage. Now, within our display itself, if we right click, these menus are pretty much going to be the same for everything, but some nodes are going to have different options or additional options. But in general, we can change our scale. If we right click, we can select scale to fit, right click, we can select 100%. Down here for our channel, we can just select which channel we want to view, just like up here. And this is going to show all of our channels. So if our footage is like, say, an EXR that has Z-depth or vectors or normals in it, we're going to be able to select all those individual channels and view them in here as well. So if I want to see my red channel, I just look at my red channel, or I can look at my color channel. Under our layer, it's the same thing. So where we had this little drop down to change our layers, if we right click, we can select which layer right here. For our guides. Now we can select show guides and we don't have any guides. And you notice we don't have this nice little ruler up here with our measurements, but we can add guides if we want multiple ways. So before we go over adding guides, you have the ability to monitor the safety area of your video. We can see our safe title area. So we can have that little guide. And we can see our center right here. And additionally, if we need to see our film guide, we can see our film guide out here on the side. But just so you know, none of these guides will carry over and be part of your footage in your edit page. So if you go back, you notice we don't have any guides. So let's shut all those off real quick. But we're going to leave this resolve guide on checked right here, because we can add a resolve guide. And if we select add resolve guide, it's going to give us the option to add one by pixels or by percentage. So if I want it at my center, I can say 50% on my horizontal. I can add it. I can go to guides and I can add another one. Percentage, I could change it to 50% on my vertical. And whoops. Clearly not 50%. 50% on my vertical. Now these guides, if I go back to my edit page, are still going to be viewable. Now, just mind you, your guides won't render in your delivery page, but they're viewable within your edit page. So I can still edit my resolve guides within here. So if I move that up, go back to Fusion, you can see it changed. Additionally, if I'm in my edit page and I want to create guides, so if we want to use our nice little measuring rulers we have up here, if I want to bring this in, just click, drag, bring it down to my center spot, and it's going to click automatically to our center spot. If I go back to Fusion, you see we've got that new guide. And when we're in here, if we want to get rid of these, all we have to do is right click on it, and we can either edit it, we can remove it, or we can lock it so we can't move it. So we're going to remove this guide. Additionally, on our guides, we can go to our frame aspect and we can change it to whatever frame aspect we want. So I can change my guides, or I can just have it set to default, which is going to set to our timeline default. I can select this snap to guides. So now that I've got it set snap to guides, I can bring in a rectangle. And if I move my rectangle, you can see it's snapping to those guides. Additionally, under guides, we can just lock all of our resolve guides. So now we can't select them or move them. Now, under our right click options, we have the ability to change some of the stuff we could change up here. So we can change this checker overlay. So I can turn that on and off. But additionally, I can change it to an alpha overlay if I want. That way I'm seeing my alpha. And if I have alpha overlay selected, I can change my overlay color. So if I want it to be cyan, it can be cyan. If I want it red, I can make it red. So let's disconnect that. Right here, if I have smooth resize selected, it's just going to give us a smoother zoom in and out, like a more bilinear. So if I hit Control, it's like that. When it's off, options, smooth resize, and it's like that. And again, we have our show controls to show controls, our show square pixels. And if we zoom in super close, you notice we just keep zooming, zooming, zooming. But if I want to show my little pixels, I can go to options, select show pixel grid. So now if I zoom in super close, you can see we've got these little black outlines on our pixels. If I shut it off, it's off. And again, we have this normalized color range. And what the show labels does is for any display that has like text in it, that sometimes accompanies our on-screen controls, like our controls within our little transform for our angle and all that stuff. If it has accompanying text, that means show that or not. So we can turn it off to hide the labels or turn it on to show the labels. And our region, again, is the same exact thing as our little ROI up here. For our 360 view, it's the same thing that's available for our 360 view. Our load right here, we can load reference images, but these are not going to load within your media. So for example, if I have two images up here, let's go ahead and fit, and I need to bring in like some reference footage over here, I can hit load. I can go load whatever I want. So now I've got that loaded as my reference footage. But as soon as I play or do something else, it's going to disappear. But notice it is not in our media pool anywhere. So again, I can right click, load that image. Now I've got a little reference image there. And we can do whatever we need to do over here without disturbing it. But like I said, as soon as you hit play, it's going to disappear. For our save image, we can just save that image. So if I right click, hit save image, it's going to come up with a pop-up so we can save it however we want. And you have different options for how you want to save that image. Under our LUT, it's the same thing as our LUT controls up here with a couple additional ones. So we can enable it or disable it. We can edit. We can add a new one if we want to add a new LUT. We can delete our existing LUT that's there. Now that's not going to delete it from your system. It's just going to delete it from being on. We can load a LUT. We can save a LUT. And we can convert the existing LUT to a 3D LUT. So if I've got this enabled and I go to my LUT, convert to 3D LUT, now it's operating on the 3D LUT level. However, notice there's no way to output that actual LUT, so you can't save this LUT as an individual LUT to reload. It's just for the display here. And if you notice, it disabled our existing LUT because now it's using that 3D LUT. But if I go here and reselect our little LUT, turn it on, go back, you notice that convert is re-highlighted because we can reconvert it to a 3D LUT. And remember, none of this stuff, any of these LUT options right here, transcribe to your edit page. It's just within your Fusion viewer. And with LUTs and everything, on our global options down here, we have the ability to load buffer LUTs, which is pretty much the same thing. It's just going to load up in your buffer. Additionally, we can dither that if we want. We can change our little checker underlay for our outside viewer area. Or we can change our background color. So if I want it to be bright, I can change it to be bright. And down here, these are our stereo controls, the same stereo controls we have up here. Under our views, we can go here and we can enable or disable our little subviews over here. So we have all the same options for our subviews. And if I hit swap, it's going to swap our subviews from our main image to our subview image. And also, if I don't want this little teeny tiny subview, I can hit 2. So I've got 2 display areas up. And if I want something in this one, say our little histogram, I can just have our histogram in that view area right there. Or I can have our little 2D viewer, which is the same thing. Additionally, we have quad views. So if I go to quad view, this isn't going to change anything under our 2D. So this is mainly for 3D, which we'll cover tomorrow when we cover the 3D viewer area. So no matter what we bring in here, it's just going to be one image. Whatever one we select is going to be in our quad view. We can't change individual views within 2D on the quad view. Like I said, this is just for 3D. So let's turn that off. Right here, we can lock our display. So now it's locked. So now we can't accidentally change it. And if we go to settings, we have the ability to load defaults or save defaults or save anew or reset. So if I reset our defaults, it's going to reset everything that I changed today. And if I make a bunch of changes that I like, I can go to my settings, save new, save it as a new setting. And then down here on the very, very bottom, we've got the ability to just select and add nodes. So if I have Media 1 loaded in here, I right click and I wanted to add an ellipse. I can go here and just add an ellipse on a mask and I've got it. Additionally, if for that specific node, if I go here and I have any connect to things that I can connect to, I can select and connect to whatever I need to connect. And like I said, these options are going to change depending on what type of node we're on and what's in your actual Fusion project. So that is the 2D view area of Fusion. In the next episode, we're going to be covering the 3D viewer area within Fusion. So I'll see you in the next episode.